Right. Good afternoon, all. Welcome to the HIGMID show. And today's HIGMID show, we have a very exciting young entrepreneur from IIT Delhi, and he runs a venture which is called Tinkerlee. And I was very amazed, when I first heard about this venture, and also the name. Right, the name is so exciting that it says that keep tinkering. Right, so Sharad Bansal and he has other co-founders, and they started this unique venture which is in the field of STEM, robotics, call it AI, and all the other stuff. And I'm very keen to learn from Sharad about all the nice things that he does. And today's talk for the Youth Hackathon is brought to us by Macmillan Education, who's been supporting, and they will be looking. They're sponsoring the Education Award. So if you are all having nice ideas about education, that award is going to come from Macmillan. And I'm Sanjeev Chivesh. So for today's show, I have a simple question for the first starting question for Sharad. Uh, Tell us about yourself. What all have you done, and then how you landed up into Tinkerlee.
Sure, Sanjeev. So thank you so much for first of all inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to directly interact with the young school students. Telling me about myself. So I come from Rajasthan, coming from a service class family, born and brought up. My father is in bank service, so we used to get transferred in different places. So I literally studied in various schools, a number of schools. From there, I think at one time we landed in a place called Gangapur city in Rajasthan, which is very near to Kota. And I think everyone knows about Kota. So, but there was some influence of Kota on that place, that there was high competitiveness, and the quality of teaching was also good at that particular place. So that was the one first phase of my life when aspiration hit me, that people aspire to achieve higher from you, and then you actually set up higher goals. And there they said that, okay, if you are good in education, then you need to actually, if you're good in studies, then you need to actually clear at least JE if you want to pursue in maths and science. Somehow, fortunately, I landed up in IIT Delhi from after my schooling. In IIT, before actually entering into IIT, I had a very conventional plan of going to IIT and then going for an MBA later on. But then actually in IIT, I was part of entrepreneurship cell there, got to work with the fellow startups, got some exposure about how fascinating it is to actually be enabling something and at a younger age to do something which you can really realize the impact for. So that was when I tasted first time. So I think all the students here are luckier than me and have a better opportunity than me, that they are listening about startups and entrepreneurship in school. But I think I had my first flavor in college. And there, one thing I would like to share is that in mostly higher education institutes, especially in IIT, there was a methodology called LPT. So lecture, practical, and tutorial. So like whatever you study on a certain day, or whatever you are taught by a teacher in lecture, you are doing a practical of the same in the same day, or maybe more at best in the same week. So you have a quite a good kind of a practical ecosystem there, labs, and all of that is available in these institutes. But the challenging part was that I, as a student, was trained for 15 years of my schooling, where I have never done practicals, where I've never done anything hands-on. I was just mugging up, or I'm just writing, theoretically learning, and then performing well in exams. And suddenly you expect a person like me or other students to come up with innovative ideas, or to come up with research and develop and publish papers. So that was the big difference I realized, that and that the resources which were there are not up to the part utilized, because the schooling life had no sort of a practical learning. And then there were some other students also, my friends, so that who also had realized that, like, someone got mechanical engineer, for example. They thought, yeah, earlier I used to think that mechanical and automobile engineering is very fascinating, and I want to create cars, and that's why I entered into mechanical. But right now I'm going more into software, and I'm better in writing codes. At the same time, another friend from computer science was saying that I'm just sick of staying in front of my screen, and then I want to do something more hands-on and more robust, or more into labs, and I wanted to become a mechanical engineer. So sometimes students are pursuing the subjects or taking the subject based on their imaginary understanding of what is going to be there. But when we actually land it up there, the students then realize that, okay, what happens into chemical and what happens into maths, what is engineering maths and what is school maths. So this difference also we wanted to bridge by providing exposure to the newest of technologies in school life. So that is where Tinkerlee's idea came in, that what the kids pursue new technologies or learn about technology not just to get a job in a good company or or to get a multi-crore job, but they should be pursuing technology actually out of their passion. That, okay, I like robotics, that's why I'm pursuing just robotics, not because that I want to become a robotic engineer. So that is something we wanted to bring with Tinkerly, that you make your passion in your childhood, and then with that passion you can achieve a lot of things. I have some interesting stories to tell about this, but
We
I
are
think
all ears, Sharad. Very, very compelling, right? And I really loved it took me back to the good old days, LPT, lecture, practicals, and tutorials, right? And that was fortunate part of being at IIT. So whatever was taught, then that would be in the practical lab that we would do. And then also, if you had some doubts, then you go to tutorials where you can speak with teachers, discuss, and then iron out
right.
the doubts, right? So that was a great methodology. And somehow, Sharad, you're again right that most schools, when we grew up, right, and when I grew up, we had inter colleges, right? So even there, the gap between what was taught and in the lab was so, the time lag was so much that by the time you entered the lab, you had forgotten everything which was taught in the classroom.
Mhm.
So where does Tinkerly fit in?
Yes. So when we started that in 2015, the original idea was to bring labs to the classroom. So I just pick up the point from you that by the time you're reaching the lab, you're forgetting things. Actually, technically, you should do first the practical and then come to the theory. Whatever you observe and then you learn the concept. But actually, what is happening in school is that first you are taught the concept in the theory, and then you're going to the lab to actually test it. So
Wow.
that's in actually I think a reverse side of methodology that we are following. So what we did initially when we started is that we designed a lot and number of experimental tools that can be brought in the classrooms, all portable. Like if you're learning about Newton's law, you can bring that in the classrooms. So that the teacher starts the topic and sees it, so that the teacher teaches the topic with a very practical concept. So not all children can imagine things in the imaginary world. Sometimes when you show the practical, everyone connects very quickly. It saves time, and then it makes them interested. Okay, if I'm learning this concept, then why I'm learning? What can happen about it? So that was the first point, and then we saw a great surge in terms of kids wanting to do these things on their own. Like when the teachers started bringing these apparatus in the classrooms, kids wanted to do these things on their own and they wanted to create. So at that point, we realized that if there is something kids can do hands on, then why not to give them the exposure to newer tech instead of basic science. So newer techs include robotics, electronics, play with the sensors, playing with some sort of a machine learning and data science. So these initial level of exposure, where just like computer lab, there is a lab in the school where kids can go for an hour in a week, and then they can do whatever they want to do with the fancy tools available. Just like this virtual background I have created. So like you have 3D printers, you have all sort of uh, devices available there, and you can
This is
do
so
whatever
lovely.
you want
Actually,
to
I was
do.
very curious. What is there behind you, right? But I just want to remind all our listeners that if you have any question, either raise your hand or put it in the chat, and we're going to come back to you. But Sharad, continue with your, lo-
Right. So I'll tell you
insightful
one.
stories.
Yeah. Now, when we were doing this in schools, it was fantastic. I mean, in more than 500 schools, we have set up such labs across India. We are based out of Jaipur. We have labs in Assam, Meghalaya, in Kerala, everywhere, almost in every state, we have labs. But still, India has 1.5 million schools, like 15 lakh school, and we are in 500 schools. This is nothing. And then not every school can enable such labs in their campus, but there might be children in every school that who would want to learn these technologies. So we brought these courses online with a physical kit that can go to the child at home, so that irrespective of the what is available in terms of resources or what kind of exposure is available in their own school, they can learn about newer techs, newer technology at their home itself. And especially in post-COVID scenario, when every learning was entirely digital, what we added a flavor is that in addition to the live classes, you can actually create things and you can physically play with this even when you are at home. So that is something I think tinkering name suggests, that you are doing something hands-on, experimental in an unorganized manner that we wanted to keep alive, even when the physical infrastructure of the schools was closed or the lockdowns were happening. And that is something kids can continue even if they have access to the right labs or the right teachers in their locality at point of time.
Right. So, Sharad, very interesting. And we have got one question. But before I come to that question, I just wanted to announce to everyone that from tomorrow on our social media pages, students can visit, and there'll be daily contests. And those daily contests, there are daily prizes of 1,100 rupees, which is brought by Global Olympiad Foundation. And if all of you are interested, so please go there, go to the Think Startups Facebook and Insta pages, both of them, and those contests there where you can put your solutions. But to carry on the conversation, Sharad. So look, all of us get ideas, right? And we have young students out here. They also would keep on getting ideas. What is the challenge when you sort of take the idea from idea to making the idea work?
Right. The first and the biggest challenge is actually to take the first step. That's the toughest job in actually starting up. That sometimes because of our own some sort of fears, actually we keep on delaying the decision to start working on our ideas. And sometimes while waiting for seeing these ideas, we will say that, okay, yes, last year I was thinking about this idea and today this startup is like $500 million. It happens. But the first step is the most difficult element. That is something needs to do. Someone needs to do. So what we did is that in our final year, actually after our third year summer break, what we did is that when we came up with this idea, we actually created a Facebook page, and then we announced that we are starting this company. So everyone in the college knew that, okay, you guys are supposed to create this company. So that we created a invisible pressure on us that we will execute it perfectly. The second element, most important element, is the team. The startup journey is a very fluctuating journey. So you'll not get like it's not just a linear growth kind of a job curve where you will be growing. It is very less probable that you will decline there. Startup journey is like you can get some immediate success factors and then sudden falls and then success and falls, and then you can reach a top and then still you can fall. At those moments, it is sometimes you need emotional support where team plays a very important role. It is very unlikely that if you have 4 founders or 3 founders or 2 founders, that everyone will demotivate at one point of time. So that support and that bonding, in addition to the skill sets or complementary skill sets, is something very important into making an idea come really execute on ground and then sustain and persist and reach to the success level of that.
Interesting. Yeah,
Yes.
very insightful, right? I'm just looking at the chat box to look at what all we have. So I want to, Kashish, why don't you just speak yourself, your question? Very happy to, Kashish Bhatia. I'm just trying to see where Kashish is. Yeah, please unmute Kashish and ask your question.
Yeah, hello, sir. How are you? Am I
Very
audible?
good. Yes,
Am I
yes,
audible, sir?
yes.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, sir. You're doing really excellent. Sir, can we see your this lab virtually? It's looking very beautiful from here. So my all family members are here and they want to see. So can we? Is it possible?
So actually, so today I'm at home, but otherwise, what you can do alternatively is that you can check on our YouTube page. There are some virtual videos available. So on YouTube, if you type Tinkerlee, you'll find some videos. It might be in the bottom also. There are continuously some content coming in. But I did not took up the videos part on my presentations or something, because sometimes in video conversation it lags. So, but on YouTube you can find it a lot of stuff
But
about
do you
that.
have any tinkering stuff right in your hand or something behind you on your table? On your nothing that you want to break?
I can actually I can tinker with everything, but not exactly my tools there right now.
Okay, right. This is, I love the name, right? Tinkerlee. And, whenever I think of Tinkerlee, then I go back to my good old days when I was a kid. And we used to have these old radios, which were vacuum radios. And when I was a kid, I, really thought that there would be real people sitting inside the radio, right? And they would be talking and chatting, and someone would call him from Radio Ceylon, and we would go behind and try and see, where is this person. And one fine day we broke open the radio, and after that the radio stopped working. So to me, that's the, Tinkerly, right? So Sharad, coming back to your amazing journey, uh, how important is to have co-founders?
I think yes. So very, very, very important. I think I will emphasize several times on here. Uh, Unless you are already a successful entrepreneur in the past, unless you have done some couple of ventures and you have known things, you have access to a lot of capital, and you can do things fast. Unless that is there, I suggest that having co-founders is very, very important. It has many multiple and many regions. Like in the previous question I answered about the importance of emotional support that you get from your co-founders. Second is the complementary skill sets that you get. So if you are like two founders, so you are two full-time executives already in your company, which are having the highest levels of integrity and highest levels of dedication to the work that you're doing. If you're four co-founders, then you are four. Don't think about that you'll get partners or your shares got distributed among them, because the compound value they will be creating to the company will anyway increase the value of the company in the future, and get the things done faster. Where what you could do alone, you can get the things done faster when you have founders. Plus complementary
Fantastic.
skill sets. Like
Hmm.
some people are like great with technology, some people are great with people. Getting both together is a very rare skill set. So I think that is also a very important element that you can think about. When I say people, like if you go into business development or marketing or sales or hiring, in all of these roles, the people management is very critical, very critical. And sometimes people who are really good in technology design, they are more introspective persons. They're more focused on what they are doing, so they get their own personal and private time in terms of creating amazing stuff in their product. So when you combine right complementary skill sets of persons, plus not just skill sets, do also see that people you are having chemistry with also, that is also important. No, don't go always for the most talented person to have your co-founders. It is very important that you have the right chemistry. So it's like having a founder is like having a partner. So you might not find the most successful or the most rich or the most pretty life partner. Similarly, you might not find the most talented co-founder. But what you
Right.
need to find is that you need to find the person you can live with, because you'll be spending a lot of time with your co-founder. So I think these are very important elements, and I
Fantastic,
think
Sharas.
having a
This is
co-founder is the
so.
plus
I
always.
got a gem, right? So it is not physics; it is chemistry which matters when it comes to selecting a co-founder, right? So
Right.
lovely. A great piece of advice. And we all know of stories where co-founders, they also, yeah, they fight, they break away, they separate, and all those, and it's a unnecessary drain on the venture and on your investors and everyone, right? So great answer. I have Shrishti Senani. She has raised her hand. Shrishti, I'm unmuting. Please, could you ask your question?
Uh, Good evening, everyone.
Little louder,
I
Shrishti.
um,
Yeah.
Good evening. I just wanted to ask that what was the biggest challenge to you as an entrepreneur?
Great question.
That's actually a really great question, Srishti. Thank you so much for asking, because that challenge actually keep on changing. So if you would have asked me that challenge last year, it would have been different, and this year it would have been different, and maybe the next year the biggest challenge would be again different. If I tell you in terms of in the order in the journey of the startup, then the first biggest challenge was to actually find the first customer. That we are actually coming from technology institute, we were good with product, we were good with concept, but selling it was the first challenging element for us. Second biggest challenge was that when we increased the team, so when till the time when we were like 7-8 members team, it was pretty easy, like everyone was part of family. When we increased to a team of around 50, it changed significantly, and then actually our people management skills were got tested, because that organization culture is very important to manage, uh, building up right processes, setting up technology and processes. So sometimes when this startup becomes a company, at that time a lot of things change and you need to do things in right time. Third challenge came to me was the last year we were working with the schools and all the schools were closed. So somehow you need to grow, you need to quickly innovate, you need to quickly pivot, you need to come and decide that okay, you cannot lose the flavor of Tinkerlee, we cannot lose the flavor of hands-on learning, but still we have to teach online. So that was again a challenging task to actually shift things entirely in the business, and it can happen at whatever stage the company is. So these are I think there is no single answer to the challenge in the startup world. You will find them a new one every day.
Yeah. Okay, I have Nishtha Parashar. Nishtha, could you ask your question?
Sir, yes, I want to ask sir that what strategies did he make to start his business?
Interesting question, Nishta. So you want to ask about the business side of the strategies or product side of
Sales.
strategy?
She is more interested in the marketing side also. Is that, am I right, Nishtha? Yeah, she's on mute. Yeah. Yes, Nishtha, please unmute.
Yes, sir.
You want to know what's part of the strategy? He's saying product strategy, or how to build the business, or how to sell.
Sir, how to build business?
How to build the business. Great.
Nice. So I think the strategy changed, and I will not say that I had the perfect strategy on the day one. The first strategy is to actually get the first customer, and for that we ourselves used to go to the prospect clients and talk to them. That was the first very simple strategy, straightforward. That you had no strategy. You just wanted that whatever you're thinking is right. You have to test it and you need to get it validated. Like will someone will pay for it or not? Then the larger payoff strategy came in, that if you want to grow from that first customer to 100 customers or 1,000 customers, what do you do? So I'll tell you one simple example, that we are a company based out of Jaipur and we wanted to sell an entire part of the country, and we had physical apparatus like you can see in the background, and the digital content and the training elements, and we wanted to keep everything at par and keep everything same in all geographies without any compromise with the quality. So at that time we adopted technology. The entire content we brought it to mobile apps. Then the business development side, we created partners, local partners, like Uber has driving partners, or Airbnb has hostel partners. So we created partners in every state who are already connected with the schools, and who know that which school want what, and which school wants to establish such labs, or which school can afford our products. So this way we could grow from one geography to several geographies in a very short span of time. So this is the first part of the business, and now we are coming to online. So our strategies are more to go into the remotest areas. Like a lot of technology solutions are available in metro cities like Delhi, Bombay, Bangalore, Hyderabad, but we want to go to the tier 2 or tier 3 towns where they are having only mobile internet access. They do not have laptops or computers. So we're working on ways, interesting ways actually, that how we can reach out to them, how we can enable them to also use such sort of technology. Mr. I hope I've been able to answer.
Yes, I think great answer, right? Nishtha is writing, thanks for answering my question. I have one more hand raised, and Sriya Jairaj Nayak, could you
Yes,
unmute and
sir.
speak?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Sir, since you have an IT background, I'm hoping that it must have been easier for you to do the coding and all the technical requirements for your startup. But somebody who does not have such a background, or somebody who's still in school and is learning, what can be the problems that they can face to have a website or an online setup? And how can we deal with those problems? Can you please answer that question, sir? Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Shreya, for asking this. I think this is a question that could be useful for everyone also. So I think in today's time, there is a very less dependency on knowing coding at point. If you want to just start your venture and launch it, at that point of time, it is not necessary because there are a lot of no code solutions available. No code means, let's say if you want to build a website, there are tools available, platforms available where with just drag and drop, you can create a website. If you want to create an e-commerce, so there are platforms like WooCommerce or Shopify. That way you can create an e-commerce functionalities. If you want to create I mean, several technologies that you may need in the beginning of your business may not necessarily need the coding development part in the beginning. But yes, if you scale from there, at that point of time, it is better that you have a core team member in tech, because so that you can customize that platform according to your requirement. Although I will say that it's not a limiting factor that you know technology or not, but I always recommend that even if you do not like to code or you do not know code, it is better to learn some sense of technology, so that even if you are going to be in the marketing role or HR role or whatever role you want to be, knowing technology helps you to leverage technology into expanding there. So by the time you can launch it now using platforms, keep learning about it so that you stayed ahead of your competition, that how a new technology come to the market and you can use in your business. So that way, little knowledge or some understanding and exposure is always great. Shreya, I think you are on mute.
Yes, Shreya is on mute, right? But Shreya, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So what you're saying is that we don't need a complete education in that background, but it's always good to have basic knowledge so that we can do better.
Right.
Yeah. And also a lot of technology today is plug and play, right? So, so the knowledge required is on what technology to plug where, right? And that's tinkering to me. Tinkering does not go to basic coding of everything, but to know which plug to put in which, in which socket, right? So that's the kind of knowledge, and experimentation, which sort of helps us do better. Any further questions, friends? I'm looking at my chat box. There are no questions, but I have Sharath for you. And so very amazing journey, right? So you started with a concept of lab, and that lab becomes a AI sensor-based, IoT-based, those sort of lab. Now then it transforms into a virtual lab. So what next? In 2025, how does Tinkerlee look like?
So Tinkerlee is a online learning platform. That way, you are sitting in any part of the world, in a small village or a multi-story building, so 18th floor, you have access to internet and you have access to Tinkerlee. So that way, you can learn any new futuristic technology in a very fun and interesting manner. So Tinkerlee, just like another music class or a sports class or a fitness class, this will be one of the biggest technology hobby provider across the globe.
Fantastic. So, Sharad, great to hear that Tinkerlee as the largest tech hobby provider across the globe. Great vision. It was fun to have you. It was very insightful, and I loved it. I'm sure everyone in the audience loved it because everyone is on mute. So but I'm sure that everyone is putting a word of applause for you, and to all the students who are here. The video is also available on Think Startups page on the YouTube. You can go there, have a look, and